I'm René Johnson, and I'm here with Gina Gardner. Join us on the journey to new levels of profitable leadership.
Hi there, I'm Gina Gardner, and I'm really thrilled to be joined by René Johnson, who is my co-presenter today. And we're looking at new levels of profitable leadership. We're looking at the journey that you take from awakening and being aware, which was the last video. And in this video, we're going to talk about the new levels of comprehension for you as a leader, for you within business, and for you within that profitable lanes of moving forward and actually engaging in a very different way in this new era of consciousness. To help you understand how and why that's so important. Now, we spoke about becoming aware, but awareness is just the first stage. What do you do with it then? And René and I have spoken quite in detail about this, and one of the things that both of us feel is that in order to become a profitable leader in this new era, that you have to really have a really strong grasp, a comprehension about why. What is your why at a personal level, at a business level, at a consciousness level, at a world level? Because once you know your why and you're really clear about what is your purpose, what is it you want to achieve, and why that's important, then you're so much more able to communicate that to other people. And in doing so, that you can spread that why, and it becomes, if you like, a movement. And I think for me, one of the challenges that has happened, I think, since the last recession, that in the business context, so many leaders have got so hung up on got to meet my targets, that they've lost sight of what is it you're doing and why is that so important, and how are you doing it, and the way in which you do it is also really important. And if that's done with integrity and with compassion and with courage, then great. But there are so many examples, aren't there, where that's not the case. And we're talking about a real shift here.
Yeah.
A shift into engaging at a holistic level as a limitless, profitable leader. Somebody who sees the opportunities but understands what their why is and how they want to move that forward.
Yeah.
And without that, it becomes empty. If you haven't got a really clear sense of what's important to you, when's the last time that you sat down and you looked at what your core values were, and whether what you were doing and how you were behaving and the people around you, whether they were fulfilling your values, whether you're fulfilling your values. And I think one of the problems that people have got is that they've lost sight of that, and they've lost sight of themselves as a result. So I don't want to make it all about values, but I think our comprehension about
our comprehension. Can I just confirm that with you? My bubbling over here. I totally agree, but I like how you did lead in with the values, because I'm a firm believer that our leadership voice, which is our why, okay? Our leadership voice is our values. That's our voice. That's our voice coming through us. That's how we show up. That's how we live. That's what we honor, and so forth. So our why has to represent our true core values as a leader we own. So I do agree with you on that. So that's interesting. I love it. And even more ways that we're aligned, Gina. And when we know our why, that's where we can truly inspire. That's where we have the courage to speak our truth. That's where we have the courage to look inward at, we talk about comprehension in this part, comprehension for leadership. Well, that requires that self-assessment, that self-development. And that's been in the leadership models out there for a long time, but in this new era, that is going to be the backbone. That comprehension is going to be around understanding your why and really putting your stake in the ground. What are you inspiring to do? And each of us could share our why, but we're going to spend more of that in some deeper training later on in opportunities that we'll share. But in the essence of it, in the why, is that you're able to feel the sense of strength and courage where you're willing to inspire change in yourself. You're willing to inspire changes in others and be the stretch for them and not get in their way of fulfilling their purpose and their passions and their own personal development. And not making it easy in the sense of just plugging it and, okay, fine, I'll just take it over. Some of the semantics of that. But in that comprehensive leadership is really looking at the core of what your true strengths are as a leader and be able to bring that full forth into your leadership. Why? So that you are up leveling, not upgrading, up leveling the comprehension of your leadership. Why? And where you need to bring that core focus in order to create these new levels of a profitable leadership. Because aren't we saying that in this new holistic approach of doing it, then you as a leader need to be doing your best and strongest worth and bringing that strongest value of yourself forward so that you then now allow the expansion of others to come forward and up level with you, right? Would you agree?
Absolutely so.
Okay.
For me, it's about the alignment. And I think that one of the challenges, one of the differences that has been is that people have used words like values and they bandy them about and they end up being something that's just a poster on a wall.
Sure.
But I think that what we're talking about is if you're the embodiment of your values, you have to be authentic.
Yes.
It's no good talking a good talk if you don't walk a good walk. Mm-hmm. And I think that the understanding, the comprehension that comes as a limitless, profitable leader is that you recognize that you have to be authentically, genuinely the person that you're meant to be, the best version of you. And for me, that having that why, understanding that how important that is, means that when life gets tricky, on those mornings when you'd like to have a duvet day, when somebody's being a bit difficult, when push comes to shove, that sense of why is what is your rocket fuel. Mm-hmm. It helps you power through. And it helps you have the courage to do that deep dive work that you need to do on yourself.
I agree.
It has to start with you.
I agree. It's in the expressions that we're sharing here and what we're wanting to help percolate in the minds of those listening here. I so agree with that because values are our core driving, motivating energy. We know we're in them because they elevate, they energize, they attract, they magnetize. Just like when you meet people, you may not be aware of them, but they're radiating out their energy, which is made up of their values, not morals of good and bad. Yeah. These are values, right? This is what causes you to fight for it, to really take a stand, to be willing to push yourself to those new levels, up leveling, right? And in doing that, of really understanding that core driving energy, then you get a chance to look at those profit possibilities and your own ability to take time for your growth that you need in awareness of, am I living up to it? Where do I need to stretch and grow? How would I do things different if say I'm living the value really some days a 5 and some days a 7, maybe some days a 10. How do I bring up the dial? How do I increase that energy flow so that inspire? I become the beacon. I become the lighthouse. I become the radiating force, and that those that are watching me, that I am being an example, are not seeing maybe that written across me, but they're seeing it and they're feeling it. They're feeling the pull of that energy, just like a lighthouse draws you in and brings you in. And it causes them to be curious. It's like in any kind of relationship. And man, isn't not leadership relationship driven? And so I liken it back to you and what you were saying about a relationship with yourself first. You may have gotten away with having that mask of confidence, as I say, on, and some days you're pedaling underneath, hoping people don't see it. You may have gone away with that, but in this new era, overarching humanity is becoming more in tune, or attuned, either way you want to say that. And they're being more aware of energies in the people they're relating with, who they want to work with, who they want to be led by, even businesses they want to go be served by, and so forth. So now, does that mean you have to be at a 10 every day? No, but you need to have those mechanisms, which we'll get into in a second, that help others also be in alignment, right, with that. But that core understanding, what is your purpose? What is your why? What's going to inspire you to get up every day and be that profitable leader, be that example, that lighthouse, and inspire and cause the consciousness and personal accountability of awareness to be that. Last thoughts on that, and then we'll kind of move into the other. What else would you say on that one, Gina, or kind of around that?
I think that ultimately, those people who are ready to fly will become the beacons. And I liken it, if you think of the picture of the world where there are little fireflies, initially there's just a little tiny little light, isn't there? Yeah. But if you get a group of fireflies together, then the light gets bigger. And for me, the why we're doing this, you're right, it's to become the beacon of light to others. But in order to do that, the first thing you have to do is to illuminate yourself. Yeah. And then you will attract other people to your cause. If you are honest, and I use the construct, if you like, is that if you create a line, and above the line you're living your true values, that you are being the best version of you. Mm-hmm. There are all times when we dip down below the line. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, do you recognize it? Do you understand why you've done it so that you don't need to do it again? Do you deal with it, and do you get back above the line as quickly as possible? Mm. And recognize that other people are doing that too. Mm. And so it's about having an understanding that this is a journey that we're all on, and there's no blueprints. Nobody's going to give you a manual and say, here you are, day one, this is what you do, and this is who you are. Yeah. This is a voyage of discovery. Yeah. And if you think about the lighthouse analogy, the lighthouse, yes, it is a beacon of light, but it keeps you off the rocks. Yes, it stops you being thrown up onto the beach. It keeps you safe in what can be at times stormy seas. Yes. And we, I hope, are being lighthouses for the first vanguard, and they in turn will be lighthouses for the people that come thereafter. And understanding that that's part of the why, I think, will give energy and motivation and movement along this path to becoming the most profitable leaders that you can.
I want to throw one more thing in there before we move into the business profit model that we can tie that into. I love what you just said about keeping off the rocks. I liken it to that. When you know your why, then you're going to stand like strong. Those lighthouses are mortared in so that no matter how the wind comes, the temptations, the push against, like, why are you doing it that way? Why don't you come back over here and into this comfort zone over here? Because we're all just going to push harder over here in this one. You can stand strong and no, I have put a stake in the ground. I know my why, and I believe it, and I feel it, and I'm going to stand true. Because otherwise, you're going to see, mark my words, and I know you're going to agree on this, Gina. You're going to see.
I know what you're going to say, and
okay, well, you're going to see people that are going to be lighthouses or want to be lighthouses, wannabes, bless their hearts, but they're going to jump off that hill, that rock, and they're going to get down on the beach, and they're going to run up and down the beach, going, pick me, pick me, pick me. And what's going to, instead of standing true to their why, and what's going to happen is that those they're meant to serve, are going to be looking for them, but they're going to have to was that it? Wait, was that it? Is that I thought I saw it. And they're going to be confused, and they're going to be a mixture of trying to find the light that's beaming off the waves and so forth. And they might get frustrated and go, this is exhausting. This isn't working for me. And they're just going to go down into the next port. or they're going to be ones that are going to struggle, and because of that, and they're only going to get so far into your report because you weren't clear and decisive. And so in leading charge with that it is time now more than ever, and you'll be surprised how many people cannot answer that question. And we're going to dig in, and we're going to give you the tools to be able to do that later in some opportunities. But just let it marinate. What is my why as a leader, and can I stand strong, and where can I strengthen and shore that up? So as we take that forward, let's talk about utilizing that comprehension of being that strength in a leader and bringing that into new business and profit models. So these profit business models that encouraging listeners to think about is going to be looking at inside of your own ability, of your strengths, and whenever you're moving forward in your best value, but even more so than value is looking at the comprehension of the where that you need to be showing up, how you need to be playing in your environment, what are the focus of your roles and responsibility, and then also into looking at what are some of the models inside of your organization, whether you're solo or you're full blown out, Fortune 500, and looking at what are some of those profit models. So in doing that, I look at, as a leader, one of your core responsibilities is to bring the strengths around you and to up-level your worth, your comprehension, your strengths through the others that are serving the overarching vision, okay? So you have your own why and serving the overarching vision. So as you're doing that and you're looking at bringing forth those strengths, and you start to develop the people around you, and you bring them into understanding the impact they can have on the overarching vision, which in the vision, without the semantics of it, you are going to be identifying, I imagine, what is your bottom line type of numbers that you want. But I encourage that you teach others around them to understand how they play a part in contributing to the health and well-being of the organization. The health and well-being is measured differently, and the byproduct is the financial. So health and well-being. And as you do that, then you are developing inside of your different roles and responsibilities inside the team and the different pods and organization. You're developing profit centers in that. And you probably have your different language that you might use, but I know that in just kind of looking at the new levels of profitable leadership and how to do that, if we delve into inside of that organization and light comprehension around those models, it's going back to the strengths of individuals, would you say, and looking at them being able to find their strength, their purpose inside of the organization, and how they're serving, how they're supporting. And in doing that, they're automatically going to be more accountable, more aware of where they're stuck, where they need help. And we also need to encourage them to be able to give and receive feedback, so they find that courage and they're innovative and they're bringing forth this opportunity inside that has been hidden because of either things being tolerated or it was only one person was always doing it. It was their way. We could talk all day. So I'm going to hand back a little bit because I have some more to say on that without overtaking it. Can you share with me, what are your thoughts around that initial part of it before we start kind of breaking down some of those models?
First and foremost, I think you as the profitable leader have to be the model. Mm-hmm. That you have to demonstrate the values, the behaviors, the language that you want from other people. And in my experience, many leaders actually train their staff not to think, because they are then shot down because they've not done the right thing. But profitable leaders recognize that the true treasure that you have in any organization is the people who work in it. Mm. And if you look at the collective IQ, EQ, experience, creativity, their energy, their enthusiasm, then it makes sense as a limitless, profitable leader to make the very most of those people, and to do it at a number of levels. One, because it's the right thing to do, and all of that limitless potential which is open to you if only you can see it and use it. But also it makes great business sense, because those people then, so long as they understand that they need to take radical responsibility for their own performance and a shared responsibility, which is why the why is so important, because if everybody has ownership of that why, that they want to make the best contribution they can. I mean, interestingly, that, you know, the thing that motivates people when they do all of the research is not the money.
No.
It's the feeling that they actually are valued, that they can make a really positive contribution.
I agree. I just to leverage on that for a second is, if we are talking about, you know, the ultimate charge as a leader is to bring the best out in those we're leading. Well, we have to do it ourselves. Yes, be the example like you shared, but bring the best out and give them the tools they need, give them the strength they need, give them the empowerment they need, help them see when they're in, you know, what I call your power zone, but collectively, you know, when they're in this new level of performance that is engaging, that is energizing them, and we have to encourage them to fail so that they find the strength, or feel safe to fail, feel safe to share what they need. That one thing that I find when I go into organizations, often what happens is I can go in and we can have this new vision, and we can talk about the whys, and we can get our affirmations, and everybody's moving along. And then I'll have these private conversations with the team members, and they'll say, okay, that was great, but what's going to happen is when you're not in, the leader's going to go off and get back into their comfort zone, and you know, whatever container they were in, because, you know, the day got busy, there's this report, there's that, and then we're over here trying to push along, but they're not. So we get frustrated, and so we just put our head down. We've learned to just put our head down, because it's going to go away, that new idea, in a couple of weeks. So why bother? And you lose morale. You lose talent. I mean, that's costly, because people go, they're not living, they're not walking their talk, they're not living it. And this organization over here are speaking to me, and I'm going to lead that organization, and you're going to lose all that talent, all that energy. And even worse is you lose it because they start to just not believe anymore. And when they don't believe in not only your vision, but then in themselves. And they bring that lower energy every day into that role. And what happens is the performance level, the efficiency, the way that they engage your customers, the way that they engage each other on the team, right? It starts to be a lower vibrational level. And even if you hire the best people that are wanting to do that new level and to lead with you in their own charge, because everybody could be a leader. It's not a title. It is a decision in the way they're going to show up every day. And you need to encourage and empower that. And there are emerging leaders all the time growing in your organization. But if you say that and you don't actually deliver on that, you know, then you're going to have either good talent exodus, that's loss of profit, or you're going to have talent start to get some attitude. And I've seen it. I've seen the best integrity people actually start to sabotage. And so you have a lot of control in the way that you help develop the people around you. You want to share another thought on that before we get into models, but what else is your thought on that around people? I love this dialogue so far, by the way.
I have worked now with so many businesses where the leader blames everybody else because things aren't working. Back to, it starts with you as the leader. And ultimately, if something is going wrong, if something's not working, then you look to yourself. But when you start to create a truly learning organization, one where the only failure is to either fail to give it a go or fail to learn, then you can see magic can happen. and that the people that you work with grow and develop and enjoy their job. The health is better, both physically and mentally. As you say, it's less absenteeism. You have an organization then that can truly thrive in terms of its greatest profitability, which for me is bigger than just money. And as a result, success, and sustain that success. Because one of the things that can happen with fairly toxic leadership is that you quickly get good results, but they're not sustainable, and they come at a huge yeah.
I so agree. Here, it's bringing it full circle. It's about being accountable and creating this accountable organization. When you talk about learning, you talk about, empowering them and so forth. We've got to help change the language around accountability, because that's actually an empowering word. When we give the employees what they need to succeed, and we, number one, give them trust. We give them trust to succeed. And I love how you likened it back to the leader pointing back. I have the same experience, Gina. And when they haven't understood their why and they haven't organized their leadership around that, they hold too tight. It becomes very micromanaged. It becomes
It's based on the fear.
It's very disciplinary. It's not accountable. And accountable is a love word, actually, a love language, because it means that I'm going to set you up to succeed. I'm going to give you the opportunities to communicate what you need. You're going to be open to my feedback, and I'm going to make sure I give you proactive feedback, not down the line when you should have, would have, could have known. I'm going to blame you because I didn't tell you, right? And I'm going to also cheer you on in the growth and development when you need to go back and we need to figure this out together, so it becomes something that you can own. And in doing that, you build trust. And you can't scale your business without trust. You can't grow into new profitable levels without trust. And so accountability comes back to the leader being accountability with themselves, and then bringing that down into the organization and empowering their individuals. Yeah.
Integrity, trust,
yes.
respect,
yes,
are all for me the bedrock of leadership that is going to have limitless profitability.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got those things in place, then it's going to nosedive. And for me, and that's, you talk about accountability. For me, it's accountability in terms of expectation, but it's taking radical responsibility for your own performance.
Yeah.
And recognizing that the accountability has to come from within as well as external.
Absolutely. So let's lean into that around the profit models.
Yeah.
And dissecting that just a little bit here. Those profit models, looking at profitability in the sense that we're looking at here in new levels, okay? And so I know Limitus and Power Zone, those are all big energies. So if we just even bring it back to a new level and helping our listeners here, go up a level, like that percentage degree we talked about and so forth. The new levels in the models is to look at the profits in looking at the deliverables of each employee in relationship to the overarching vision that you have for your organization and the output in the customer experience, because that's going to bring forth a byproduct in how then they're going to come back, repeat, refer, and bring in the financial rewards and stability into the organization. And those details and how to dig that down is going to be later in some opportunities. But as far as ensuring that each employee, not just those that sit at the board table behind me, but each employee understands what profit means and a return on the investment in the use of their time. So, but working backwards from what we're talking about today in that new level of profitability is a holistic sense, right? So the well-being and making sure that you're shoring up models in your organization. Are you having conversations around it? Are you having daily huddles? Are you having, these are some models. I'm just going to throw some models out there, and then Gina, you can throw some out there too. Are you sharing the vision? Are you having your team meetings? Are you having ways that you are generating new ideas, that you're bringing creativity into it so you can venture into new levels? Are you sitting down and having conversations that let you really listen to the efficacy of the structures that you have in place? Though they may be there for 10 years, you know, are you willing to look at new levels and allow the individuals delivering those to bring forth ideas into that? Now, and I could go forward on that, but what you're doing is you're now creating inside of each role, not just departments, but inside of each role, a profit center. When they can look at the use of their time and, you know, how they're using it, not wasting it, when they can look at how am I using the resources that are given to me, and what resources do I need to perform better, and then, you know, where am I utilizing my strengths and talents that I'm giving, you know, being accountable to, and where can I speak up to get that? And if we can make each individual empowered and accountable, they can start to move and be more aware and more open to ideas and to be part of the overarching up-leveling in these new levels of profitability. So they have measurements that they're excited to strive and grow toward, that ultimately brings back the personal fulfillment. And in that energy of personal fulfillment, I'm going to hand it back to you here, Gina. Then you now are going to, in the simplest form, if profitability is about getting a return on investment, when your employees leave the job each day and they feel like they're getting a return on the investment of their time in your organization, they leave better for it. I mean, that's new era.
I'd say to you that if you are a new era leader, then using the old style team meetings, because team meetings can be new era, huge consciousness, or they can be same old, same old.
Yes.
For me, it's about understanding what it is that each person contributes to the organization, and for them to recognize that they are the leading professional, whether they are the cleaner or they are the board of governors or on the board of governors, that whatever their role is, that they are the leading professional, and that role is valued because it contributes to the why and to the capacity to achieve. Now, that doesn't come unless from the leader there is an understanding and a behavior that supports the fact that, you know, you are in the kitchen, but actually understands the why of what you're doing.
Yes.
By feeding us good, healthy food, you're keeping the workforce going. Your job is vital. It's important. You're the cleaner, okay? But ultimately, you're more than just a cleaner, because by having clean bathrooms and a clean and shiny environment, not only do you keep people safe in terms of germs, but you give people a pride in the place. And that without you, this organization would be a different place. So for me, recognizing the value of each person and other people within the organization, recognizing the value. And so often people at the top don't value people who do the more mundane jobs. The second thing I would say is that communication, two-way, 2 ears, 1 mouth, very good reason. And I think so many leaders that don't truly listen to what's going on, who aren't prepared to learn from those who are on the ground, who are saying, this isn't working, or we've got a great idea, or how can we together find a way forward? And I think giving people the opportunity to cross-fertilize. No idea is a silly idea, because often it's from those silly ideas that the real wonderful idea that makes all the difference comes in. But I also think it's about being strategic. You know, the 80%, 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
You know, are you serving the right clients?
Yeah.
Are you delivering the right products?
Yeah.
And are they the best quality service or products? How do you know? How can you improve it? How can you get everybody, every part of the organization to understand that you are an ambassador for this company? Whatever you're doing, whatever you're saying, however you're behaving, that has a vibrational impact on what's going on. But it also has a profitable outcome one way or the other.
Yes, I agree. I'm kind of tying this together is the new era levels of profitable leadership. The derivative of that is going to be the personal development and wellness of the individuals in your organization like you've never seen before. And it will create the division in a good way strategically of looking at what your organization should be offering, perhaps adding more items or letting go of some of the things just because they've always been, and really bringing your whole army over and empower them, being that ambassador behind what is needed in this new era of time. But there is going to be the new derivative of this. It is in some organizations, there are people doing it, but not at the level that you and I both know that we're taking our clients through this new journey of how to truly break it down. And in that is going to bring this confidence that you're going to need in the health of your organization to be able to, play bigger, play limitless, be in their power zone, be in line, all these positive, powerful energies to thrive in this new era marketplace. So with that said, we hope that you'll tune in more and you'll be able to explore with us more what that looks like in more greater detail as we bring forth some more opportunities as we go forward in our communications here in this collaborations in this mini series. And in our next one, I hope you come back and you join us in our next one, that we're going to be talking about shifting into a new profits lane as a leader. And what does that look like? Gina, this has been excellent to have this time with you today. You always bring such value, and I know we could talk for hours, which we will soon enough, right? All right. Thank you so much today for listening in to our listeners. Bye now.
Bye-bye now. Lovely to see you.